Welcome to Thunder Nerds. I'm Brian Hinton.
And Janelle Pizarro.
And I'm Frederick Philip Von Weiss. And thank you for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology that love what they do.
And do tech good.
Ha! Ha!
Oh my God.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. We have a very special guest today. We have Mina Markham. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah.
Happy to be here. It's great.
Mina. I love that name. It always makes me think of that part in Bram Stoker's Dracula with Mina.
That's actually who made that.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Bam! You already hear it.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
My dad saw a Dracula movie and he was like, that's the name right there.
It's such a pretty name.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Most people actually don't know that. That's kind of cool.
What's your middle name, if you don't mind?
I'm not going to say that because people can dox me. So no.
Okay. Okay. I get it.
Yes.
That's awesome. So, how was your talk yesterday?
It was really good. It was I don't know, maybe 20th or so time I've given that particular talk.
Okay.
It's always, even though I have it pretty down, it's always a little nerve-wracking when I give it to a new audience. I have no idea if people are going to respond to it.
Sure.
And I've heard nothing but good feedback. So yeah.
That's awesome. Great. That's so cool. Well, before we dive too much into your talk, let's talk.
Let's first. We're at the front end conference for all.
Oh yeah. First things first. We're at
Yeah.
the front end design conference. It's the 10th year.
10th. Keep doing that.
I know.
It's the 10th
anniversary of the event.
Anniversary, yeah.
Yes. And where are we at? What theater?
The Palladium in St. Pete. Really great venue. This awesome location.
Yeah.
And St. Pete is great for all our viewers who have never been to the events. Great food, great beaches, just a great scene in general, and great people at the conference. So keep an eye out. We have more live shows throughout the day. So, but yeah, that's our little sub intro.
Yeah.
And back to the show.
So tell us a little bit about you and what you do. I hear from the grapevine that you slack around all day.
I do slack around on that. I work on a little app you may have heard of called Slack.
Never heard of it, no.
I don't actually.
Skype? What's that?
Oh, you're gonna get smacked, Brian.
No, I work at a company called Slack. We build an application called Slack. I don't work on the app. I have to tell people that.
But you've used it.
I used it religiously before I worked on it.
It's funny
Yes.
if you work there, but everyone there uses like Hangouts.
No. Oh no. I tell people that I don't work on the app because usually that leads to people asking me for like feature requests and doing.
Oh yeah. Hey, can I tell you some things that I want to change?
Yep. All I can do is pass them along. I can't actually help you with any of it.
So you get the infrastructure side of things?
No, I do all the marketing things. So my job is to get people who don't know about Slack to learn about it. And
Wait,
use
there are
it.
people that don't know?
There are people who don't know about Slack. And have you ever tried to explain Slack to a person who has never seen it? It gets kind of tricky because you don't want to say it's a chat app because it's not a chat app. You say it's a workplace collaboration tool, but how do you explain what that actually means
Sure.
to someone who's never seen something like that? So it's just, there are much smarter people in our marketing department who actually figured out this language better than I have. I just facilitate all of their work. So I build Slack.com. My team also helps with things like the help center, our status site, pretty much anything that's product adjacent we take care of.
Oh, okay, that's neat.
So I can give suggestions for the help then.
Yes, in theory you could, yes. But no, seriously, yeah, you really could.
Okay.
Explaining that to some people too, there's a lot of people that are very clingy to email and they don't want to let that go, or they have any kind of trepidation about some other kind of workflow. So I could understand how you definitely need a lot of explanation sometimes for certain kind of businesses.
Yeah, people are really entrenched in like the systems that they're currently in, and what we try to show them is that we're not trying to disrupt that system. We're just trying to like integrate it all into one place so that you don't have to keep going to 5 different services. So,
Yeah, there are integrations with email with Slack where you can get a message inline. So I mean, you're not really abandoning.
There's call center things. There's chat apps that integrate. There's all kinds of cool things.
I love that Slack is like hackable. Like you can build bots to like make Slack more accessible to your team, which is really cool.
Yeah.
For example, like in Orlando, we've got a dev community on Slack, and we've got things like pizza bots that tell us when like pizza's half off, and like that's part of our community, which is really awesome, and we love that about Slack.
I just love Giphy. Like there were days at work when we were using Slack and we then switched to something else. So that's an entirely different thing. But we got lost in Giphy. Like, for like hours back and forth.
It's easy too. Just
that's so funny.
So Mina, tell us a little bit more about your talk. What did you talk about?
I actually spoke about the job I had directly before Slack, which was working for someone you may have heard of, Hillary Clinton.
Oh, I heard of that.
Yeah. She was applying for a really good job, and my job was to help her to get that job. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out the way we all intended it to. But
yeah. That's a whole different can of worms.
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Essentially, my talk was going over the story of how I got that job and the 15 or so months I spent doing it.
Yeah, so that must have been amazing to you. I'm sure you actually got to meet Hillary.
Yeah, I've met her a couple of times.
Yeah, wow, that's so cool. She must be so inspirational.
She is. She's that's why I describe her. She has this very intense presence, but it's nothing really about her. Like, she's very warm and friendly and funny and welcoming. It's just she comes with people. She comes with videographers and photographers and Secret Service. So when you meet her, but you also see in the periphery a bunch of people. Yeah. So I'm just like, hello, Secretary Clinton and all the big Secret Service guys who are surrounding her.
All staring at you.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really stare. They're just kind of just around. They don't intrude, but they just their presence is just there.
Yeah.
But no, it's a very humbling experience to work for someone like that, because she's had such a long career of trying to do good in the world and being a public servant, and so just to meet her and to see she's a real person and she's just. Yeah. She doesn't have, people feel like she had a bunch of ego with her. She was just very happily and very intensely listening to what I had to say, and it was great.
Yeah, she's just authentic, and she really had, her agenda is to help people.
Yeah, I like the podcast that she briefly did with, I can't remember who interviewed her, but she did during the campaign. She was on, she had a dedicated podcast series,
oh, really?
Yeah, which was really interesting. What I want to know is, did she, the name of the pattern library? Did she like that? Did
she crack up?
I would say I named her pattern library that I did for her it's called Pantsuit. It's very appropriate. Yeah. I have no idea if she knows what it's called, or even
really.
I honestly don't know. I don't know if she knows what it's called. I'm not even sure she knows that it exists as a thing. Yeah. She knows about the website and all of her tools, and so I don't know if anyone ever told her anything that deep. I kind of doubt it. I feel like she just knows that the website exists and it looks the way it does.
Yeah,
that's about it.
Did she have any kind of interaction with you as far as I like this, I don't like this, or I do have a little idea.
No, not with me directly. I would never interact with her on that kind of level. Yeah.
Well, I don't know, maybe. I mean, that'd be kind of cool.
I didn't.
I love Hillary Clinton over my shoulder going,
move that to the right.
3 pixels.
That would have been more nerve-wracking than
that would have been hilarious.
No, we did. There were rounds of approval for the designs that happened before they even got to me. So I don't know. They eventually did get to her, but I have no idea what form and what format and how she provided feedback. I had no idea. I just know that by the time designs got to me, she had seen them.
Did you get to meet Bill too? Or
I have. I met Bill and Chelsea. I've met the entire Clinton family.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's special.
They made a point to stop by and meet the people who were working for Secretary Clinton, just to give their appreciation. So
awesome.
Can you tell us a little bit about the pattern library?
Sure. It came about. It's actually the very first major thing I did on the campaign, and it was one of the first major projects that we as a tech team did. Mm-hmm. And it essentially we did 2 versions of it. First version was a patternization of the existing website as it was when I was hired. We just wanted, it was essentially a complete code refactor and re-engineering, but visually the site didn't change. It was more my job to get our code base in a stable state so we could start to build on top of it, iterate on it, and do experiments on it. Because the original site was built very quickly, so it was kind of built very quickly by a bunch of different people who were working in kind of isolation. So it wasn't as maintainable and as scalable as it needed to be for our needs.
What is the backend? Is it WordPress, Drupal, or is it custom?
It was custom.
Okay.
well, it doesn't exist anymore, so it doesn't matter, but I don't remember exactly what the complete infrastructure was, because it depended on what part of the site you were talking about. I mentioned in my talk that HillaryClinton.com, as it existed during the campaign, was actually dozens of different repos that were maintained by a bunch of different teams. So every code base had their own little way of doing things. We all did had like a similar front end and like boilerplate and build system, but every team of course had their own like process, their own workflow, their own quirks, so no one repo was truly the same.
Gotcha, I see it.
Yeah.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, I was just going to make a comment that I loved how both Obama's campaign and Clinton's campaign were so tech-oriented to the extent that they changed. I mean, even Bernie's campaign did a whole bunch of interesting grassroots, like dev stuff that was really interesting. It's just nice to see that occurring and the change and the updating to the like politics becoming more like modern.
There were some carryovers from Obama's two campaigns to Hillary's campaign, so that was not quite that wasn't really just an accident. There were actual same people in certain senses, the same people who were involved in both.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Nice.
It's really cool. Oh, I want to know how like you end up leading a team. How does that work?
I didn't actually lead a team. I should qualify that. When I say the Pantsuit team, that's actually just me. Like there's nobody else.
Oh, the Pantsuit team?
Yeah.
Number one, I lead that?
I didn't really lead a team. I led a project, which I would bring in other people as needed. But yeah, the
Pantsuiters?
I guess you could call it. We kind of started adopting the term like the Pantsuit Council because
I love that.
Council of Pantsuit.
Yeah. Essentially, that was like after the library was in place, and it was more like, how do we maintain this thing? What's working? What's not? It was more for me to talk to like my stakeholders and figure out like what do I need to do to make this better for you. But how did I end up leading this project? It was essentially like I was there at the right moment. Like I was the first engineer that the tech team hired. I was hired directly by the CTO, directly after her. And so, when I got to the office, we had the CTO, a director of front end, and some managers in place. By the time I got there, we had more of a team. And the director of front end at the time came up to me. He's like, I need a bootstrap, and I think you could do that. And I was like, yeah, I probably could do that. I had no idea how to do that.
Make it till you make it.
I knew. I had seen pattern libraries, and I knew what bootstrap was. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure I could figure out how to make something similar. And so he was like, I think that you're probably the best person to actually build this thing. Because he knew that I knew a lot about modular CSS, and so he knew enough about me and my skills to kind of trust me to handle this thing. And so he gave me some loose requirements, like we need a bootstrap that matches our current site, and we need it in a reasonable time frame. Well,
done.
And so he was like, can you do that? I was like, yeah, I think I can. He didn't know this. I don't think I ever told him, but I actually was thinking that in my head. Like after the first couple of weeks I was on the team, I was like, we really could use a pattern library. So like I was actually going to ask him about it anyway. So we kind of had this nice symbiosis going on. I was like, okay, well, we both have the same idea. So
Serendipity.
There we go. There was serendipity. That's the word I'm looking for. But yeah, so we both kind of had the same idea at the same time. It just worked out that I happened to be the best person on our team to attempt this.
That's
so
nifty.
When this was communicated to you, did you do kind of a oh shit? Or were you like, yeah, I'm doing this?
I was actually excited. I'm like, no, I feel like this is something I really could excel at. Like, I thought that I was something I actually could pull off. Where I was a little concerned before, where I was like, I don't have a deep skill set in terms of like the back end, front full stack, or even all that well versed in JavaScript. So I was a little concerned that sometimes like how well I would fit in to certain parts of the team. So when I was given this project, like, oh no, I could handle this one. I could really do this one. And it turned out I was definitely the best person to do it.
That's so awesome.
So your talk then focused a lot on like just what happened and creating the library? Was that
it was the bulk of the first half of it. I spent about 30 minutes going over like how I got there on the team and the work I did and actually how I implemented and built this pattern library. I spent the last third of it talking more about my personal experience working on this kind of highly visible project.
Yeah, I'm sure, and we're all obviously very interested in what it was like to work in something like that because I haven't done that, and none of us have done that. It's very interesting to have done that and experience that. But where like tell us about you two. Where are you from, or where do you live now? Are you where are you based out of?
I am from Kansas, so
Kansas.
Exact
You're
middle
not in
of the
Kansas
country.
anymore.
Oh.
You've heard that a lot, right? It's all right.
No, it's just
You're like, thanks. Yeah, I've never heard that.
Someone always says it, so I'm just like,
I had to do it. I knew.
Yeah.
No, I'm not in Kansas anymore. I haven't actually lived there in a long time. I grew up in Kansas. I currently live in Oakland. I'm based out of the San Francisco office of Slack. So I have moved to the West Coast.
Nice. How you like it over there?
I'm not getting it. It took a while for it to grow on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was living in New York, lived in Brooklyn during the campaign and directly afterwards. And I actually intended on staying in New York. I didn't really feel the need to move. So I applied for jobs that were in New York mostly, but I also applied to Slack. And I'm like, well, it's a great company. And if I have to move to San Francisco, I'll move for Slack. And lo and behold, they actually wanted me to hire me. So they, well, I guess I gotta move to San Francisco now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, not a bad place to be.
No, not a bad place. I really enjoy the company. I love the company. I love the people. I love the CEO, and like it just all trickles down. Like it's just a great culture.
That's amazing.
That's wonderful.
What do you look for in a job when you do try to look for those next jobs after working for Hillary Clinton or maybe Slack, even if something happens where you want to move? Right? Yeah.
Well, after the campaign, I actually took some time off. It was a planned period of unemployment, so I was just kind of just relaxing and trying to recover and feel like a person for a while. Yeah. When I started looking for jobs, I actually purposely didn't look for anything that was in government or public policy or social good. I decided I just kind of wanted a break from from attempting to change the world, at least in that capacity. So I was just looking for more jobs where I thought that I could grow my skills as an engineer, but also the company culture was really important to me. The tech team on the campaign and the campaign in general, it was just by far the best place I've ever worked. The people were amazing, and we just built this really great sort of camaraderie, and I felt very supported and taken care of, and I wanted to make sure I kept that feeling as much as possible in my next company. So the company culture ranked very high, and the people I'd be working with ranked very high. And Slack, the people I met during my interview process at Slack were just so wonderful and gracious and welcoming, and they really did their best to make sure that I felt like they really wanted me there, and that they really were excited to work with me. And when I was thinking about weighing the options that I had at the time, I just kept going back to, I felt really good at Slack. And to be frank, it was wonderful to see so many Black women working in one company. And I was like, I kind of want to be a part of that. I see all of this happening. I want to be a part of it just for a while to see what it's like. So
that's so good. Yeah. What is it like to be in a company with so many women of color or people of color?
It's wonderful to have that space where I don't necessarily want to use the term safe space, but it's nice to be able to find people who understand the unique issues, the unique way that I see the world, and not have to really explain a lot. I can just go find. We have a whole channel that's full of Black ladies on a private channel, and I can just go and say something there and just know that you guys see me, right? You get it. You feel it. You understand. And it's nice to be able to not have that one other person who I may never interact with at another company. Go find the other Black woman who's way over there or whatever.
Amsterdam.
So no, it's just nice to be able to I can walk to whatever department and just see us. So it's okay, we're here and it's good. And that feeling is really what made me want to go to Slack even more.
So is Slack very focused on very beautiful. Is Slack very focused on diversity in general? Was their goal to make sure that they're a diverse company full of people of all genders, races, etc.?
I feel it's definitely a priority there. They definitely are doing their part to make sure people get in the door. I feel we're improving how to make sure that everyone there feels like they're included and make sure that everyone feels like they have a space. So
very different from tech company because there's so many you hear all the time. Tech companies are just completely failing. And,
yeah, like I will say the Slack is perfect in that sense. Like there's definitely work to be done, but I feel like at least it's not like a lip service thing. Like they really are trying to improve and do better.
There was a company, and I'm not going to mention names, obviously, that we heard about just at lunch yesterday that you would think would be like a really great company to work with, and we just heard some piss poor reviews of them.
No.
That was like super disappointing. That I was like, oh my god, really? Yeah, I'll tell you about it later on
yes,
camera.
please do.
But that's great that it's something like that, like that they're really actually doing that.
Yeah, definitely. It's there are people who are working to improve the experience for all at Slack. So it's nice to see that work is at least being done.
So, any new design systems coming out? Or are you gonna put one that's just you, like the Mina design system?
No,
and it's gonna be like Bram Stoker kind of took that.
That would be great.
I would love that.
Like blood dripping.
Yeah, I want that. Mina. You could get together with Gary Oldman.
Oh my
and like he'll wear the hat and like, that'd be so great.
Oh my god.
And I was thinking this earlier, by the way. You should totally wear a pantsuit when you come out for your next talk.
I actually have done that before.
Video?
No, not at all. I've given that talk as a keynote before, and when I did the keynote, I did have a pantsuit.
What color was it?
It was black. Yeah. I didn't have any color, but any like bright color.
Right.
Yeah, when I think of a
Blue
pantsuit,
or red.
I think of like some like bright like some funny like blue.
Yeah, so I guess it's more appropriate to say I wore separates that appeared to be a suit. But
yellow would be awesome.
I really wouldn't wear a pantsuit like in actual life, so I didn't need like buy one. So I was like, I have some slacks, I have a blazer, I'll make it work, it's fine.
It's the same.
Yeah, same thing.
I saw that you are a avid CSS junkie.
Yes.
Do you mind talking about that a little bit?
Yeah, I love CSS. I feel like people actually don't say that very often. But I truly love working in CSS.
Oh man.
Yay! But yeah, that's kind of how my introduction to the whole tech world came, was really through CSS. Because I used to be a graphic designer. I worked as a designer for 5 years, and I taught myself how to code basically by I wanted to make a portfolio site for all of my graphic designs, and so I was building my own personal site and figuring out how to incorporate, how to make my vision come to life, and most of that was figuring out how to style the page the way I wanted it to be styled. So I learned CSS and HTML that way, and eventually I started learning some JavaScript interactivity, and I feel like CSS is kind of underappreciated. It's like it's easy for people to like get mad at it and make fun of it because it doesn't work the way they think that it should work, or they don't quite understand the box model and the cascade and all that stuff. So it just feel like it's easy. People say it's easy to write CSS, and it is, because it's essentially just thousands of like key value pairs. But it's hard.
Basics.
It's hard to write it well. Is what I'm getting at. Like yes, it is very easy to like. Very declarative, so it's very easy to like say what to do, you do what you want it to do, but it's not very easy to figure out how to make it do it in a way that is modular and scalable and like it really works with the cascade.
Plus specificity issues, and just like you have it laid out right, and then you're like, oh, let me check this out in Firefox. What?
Yeah. The funny thing is that JavaScript had the same problem for a long time. That's why jQuery came to be, because all the browser differences. But somehow people didn't have a problem with that. They were just working around JavaScript acting differently.
I think it's because it's more of a programming language where you're developing something. It's weird because I almost feel like people see HTML and CSS as not developing.
That's fair.
Is weird. Because it is. You're building.
I think there's kind of a hierarchy, I feel like, in tech and in front end. Like for one, like the further you get away from the user and the more obscure your work is, the more highly valued it is. It seems like the back end of the back end are paid like so much more because people are like, well, their work is so important, even though like I don't actually understand a lot of what they do. And like the work that if you're doing more strictly like styling things, like you're kind of considered to be like the icing on everything else. Like that's usually considered last in most cases.
That's
which
the
wasn't
best
that way.
part is icing.
Yeah.
A Frosty. Like people just eat the Frosty. You don't eat the cake.
I love the cake.
I wish it wasn't that way, and I'm hoping that I'm seeing that there's more and more people who are advocating for like great CSS and like really well written CSS. But yeah, it's for a while it was disheartening to see that it was kind of more devalued, and I mean it still is in a way. But
Well, I think things now with like variables coming out, with the grid coming out, I think people are more understanding that it's a little bit more complex. I mean, you could use any tool, like you could use Photoshop and say, I could update a picture, but you could go crazy into it. You could use Sketch and get like a little bit into it, but not really like leverage libraries or something like that. So, I mean, all these things have low entry points, as they should, and then as you get further along, you know, all that. But yeah.
Well, CSS is super powerful on its own, and I feel like a lot of people forget that you can create literally just beautiful masterpieces of just art, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
Only HTML and CSS. Like, you know, if you ever like see CodePen things that are completely just HTML and CSS, there's Minesweepers that are completely built in HTML and CSS.
Yeah.
You know, there's these beautiful like pieces of literally artwork just made in HTML and CSS, and you know, that's beautiful to me. The fact that you can create something so marvelous and like just crazy with just HTML and CSS and yeah, like I mean everyone
See,
like
you're demeaning it.
you know what I mean though, like it's
an animation,
complex interactions,
and people don't really like take that into effect. They're like, man, like this is just CSS. Like yes, it absolutely is. Like it's that powerful, and amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much for taking some time and joining us and talking about your talk and telling us a little bit about you. And I'm really looking forward to in 2019 seeing the Mina Bram Stoker Dracula. It's coming out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's dropping Halloween 2019. Tweet Mina. Just ask her about it. She's super excited.
Yeah, everyone tweet her.
She's like, don't at me.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Stay tuned. Doodle.